Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, the Mandarin. Welcome to TNT Daily on April 27th, 2020. Let's look at some stories in China. News number one: recovery rate of coronavirus increased to 92.31% in Wuhan. China economy net reports that the recovery rate of coronavirus in Wuhan has risen to 92.31%. Even from a worldwide perspective, this is still the highest in the world, and Wuhan is the origin of this outbreak, aka the ground zero. The report also said that there are no coronavirus patients staying in Wuhan hospitals, which many believe is simply not possible. This is a fabricated story by the Communist Party just to deceive everyone to go back to work and go back to school. Number two, CCP underestimates the number of citizens in Russia. Manchuria, China-Russia border inspection issued by the Communist Party of China on March 31st reports of Manchuria border inspection on big data research, judgment of overseas, the pandemic outbreak risk valuation of Chinese citizens. This document showed that from January 1st, 2019 to March 30th, 2020, there are a total 153,966 Chinese citizens went to Russia from China. This number does not include the statistics before January 1st, 2019, especially those Chinese citizens who enter Russia illegally. If including the number of illegal migrants, the number of Chinese citizens in Russia will be far more than 150,000. As the epidemic continued to spread in Russia, on April 7th, it was rumored on the internet that with the shutting down of Russia, a large number of Chinese in Russia has been deported. In a few days, there will be about 1.5 million Chinese citizens returning home from three ports called Sui, Fenghe, Heihe, and Fuyuan. Thus, in reality, the numbers of Chinese citizens returning from Russia greatly contradicts with the official number from the Chinese state media. News number three: boarding school is scheduled to reopen and prohibits its students to use smartphones. 3 hours away from Wuhan, the epicenter of the pandemic, high school seniors year is scheduled to reopen school on May 6th, even though the hygiene condition in school is really bad. All students are required to stay in boarding school for at least 2 months straight. No one is allowed to go off campus. Each student is required to bring 240 face masks themselves. Smartphone use is prohibited. The whole class share only one non-smartphone. This is really concerning for several reasons. First of all, safety. How can we ensure student safety if students cannot get a hold of their parents during emergency? Second, why prohibit the use of smartphones? For fear that students would take photos or videos which could be used as evidence against school cover-up during pandemic? It makes you wonder, since there has been reports about students died of COVID-19 due to school cover-up under the CCP. News number four: CCP issued cybersecurity reviews measures effective on June 1st. According to Cyberspace Administration of China, to ensure the security of critical information infrastructure and safeguard national security, Cyberspace Administration jointly issued, quote, cybersecurity review measures with 12 other administrations. This was reported before that the Chinese government can use any private content on WeChat as evidence in courts starting May 1st. This will create fear among Chinese citizens, and no one would dare to get the truth out of the CCP controlled China regarding CCP virus through WeChat. News number 5. CCP threatens legitimate media source. 3 volunteers reported missing. 3 volunteer workers that's been involved in uncovering evidence hidden by the CCP regarding the coronavirus outbreak are currently missing. 2 are being charged with threatening national security and put under surveillance. The other one is nowhere to be found. Since the virus outbreak in Wuhan, many Chinese media have been asking the right questions and pursuing answers for the Chinese people. Such reports are generally deleted off the internet immediately. Many non-profit networks refuse to hide the atrocities and have been making backups. Pinnacle Star is one of these networks. They keep records of deleted warnings from Wuhan Central Hospital's doctors and other relevant articles. A human rights organization called Southern Dummies posted on Facebook as of 25th of April. They state that they have lost contact with 3 of their volunteers who later found to be taken into custody with appointed accommodation by the police. Wei and Tang, their families received letters from the Beijing Chaoyang police station informing them of the crimes supposedly committed by these 2, while the 3rd volunteer is still missing. Custody with appointed accommodation is a term used for the CCP police to transfer their suspect to a remote location for a maximum period of 6 months, with no legal rights of any kind. A reliable source told us that it's rare for the police to escalate it straight to the level of surveillance. It's normally used against terrorists and real homeland security threats. And we have no reason to believe that this case will be treated as such. Southern Dummies have pointed out that the volunteers' involvement with Pinnacle Star is exactly why they are arrested by the CCP. And the law firm is trying to fight for legal representations for the 2 volunteers that are currently in custody. News number 6. Chinese businesswoman sexually assaulted by a CCP member. Another incident of sexual assault is being reported out of Hulan, Binzhou City. On the 31st of March, a fellow businesswoman, Jiao, attended a dinner meeting with Chu Tinghui, the secretary of Hulan Youth Communist Party, and he forced her into a room, assaulted her, and attempted to rape. Luckily, the rape was stopped by her friends. Chu, the secretary, was stripped of all titles from the party and dealt with minor legal consequences. And those are all of the news we talk about today. Thank you for tuning in. This is once again your host of Mandarin. We will see you next time.